Everyone chuckled when the old man limped into the dojo. But once he tied on a frayed black belt and moved like flowing water, no one was laughing anymore. The door creaked open just before the warm-ups began. Heads turned. Some paused mid-stretch. A tall, lean man stepped into the room, his face marked by deep lines, his posture calm but deliberate. He acted like he didn't notice a change in the room's energy. But he did. His name was Otis Renford. He was 74. He walked with a slight limp, his left foot dragging just a little, like it had been trained to move even when it didn't want to. A faded windbreaker hung loosely on his frame. His thick, square glasses kept slipping down his nose. Keys in his pocket jingled a little too loudly with each step. There were 14 students in the room, mostly between 15 and 30, stretching, chatting, and getting loose. A few of them exchanged skeptical glances. "Low, but not low enough," someone muttered. "You here for Tai Chi or something?" The voice came from Trevin Blake. 19. Loud. Talented. Fast feet. Terrible attitude. A few students laughed quietly. Not everyone. But no one spoke up. Not even Jake Mendes, the instructor. He'd been teaching the Tuesday night beginner class for 6 months. He gave Otis a quick wave and kept things moving. Otis didn't react. He said nothing. He simply walked to the back of the room, placed his water bottle down, and leaned his cane against the mirror. His eyes scanned the room, slowly, taking everything in. Jake clapped. "Let's get into whole stance drills. Lock those knees. Engage that core." Everyone dropped into position, even Otis. Without a word, he slipped off his sneakers and shrugged out of his windbreaker. Underneath, he wore a plain gray t-shirt tucked into black training pants. His wiry build looked fragile. A few students barely acknowledged him now, too focused on themselves. Except Bryn. She was 16, new to the class. She kept glancing at Otis, not judgmentally, but curiously, like she was trying to figure out who he really was. Jake paced the line. Trevin kept stealing glances at Otis, chuckling every time the old man shifted stiffly or adjusted his stance. Otis wasn't new to movement, that was clear, but his joints looked like they were still waking up. Then Jake called for front kicks. He demonstrated, clean and fast, and then told the student to break into pairs and practice. That's when Otis stepped quietly to his bag and pulled something out. A belt, black, faded, frayed at both ends. With calm, practiced fingers, he tied it around his waist. The room changed. Something shifted. Trevin blinked. "Wait, that dude has a black belt." Someone near him whispered, "Probably got it off eBay." Then Otis moved. One roll of the shoulder. One precise step forward. A single kick. Not flashy, just sharp, direct, and nearly perfect. His heel stopped a whisper away from the foam target near the mirror. Clean. Balanced. Controlled. The room went silent. Even Jake froze, blinking in surprise. Otis didn't say a word. He simply stepped back into line. Trevin said nothing. Not this time. Bryn leaned toward the girl beside her and whispered, "That was real, right?" The girl just nodded. Otis didn't smirk. He didn't seek applause. He just stood there, hands behind his back, eyes forward, like someone who'd done this for years. But the silence didn't last. Jake tried to return to the routine, but it was hard. The energy had changed. Everyone had seen what Otis did, whether they wanted to admit it or not. Pairs were chosen. Trevin ended up with his usual partner, Devin, a college student built like a linebacker but with more swagger than skill. Bryn paired with Mariah, who struggled with balance. Otis had no partner. Jake noticed, but said nothing. He wasn't sure what to make of this shift. He folded his arms and watched from the corner. Otis moved to the edge of the mat and began practicing alone. No warm-up, no talking, just motion, smooth, measured, refined. Not a single movement wasted. Devin elbowed Trevin. "Bro, that kick? That wasn't YouTube fake." Trevin scoffed. "Old man's got tricks. So what?" "Still better than you last week," Devin muttered. Across the room, Bryn struggled with her form. Her footing was off. Her balance wobbled. Frustrated, she sat down and rubbed her ankle. Otis saw. He walked over slowly and crouched beside her, surprising even himself. His knees hated crouching, but he did it anyway. "Your back heel," he said gently. "It's lifting too soon. Press it down. Let the energy come from your hip, not your toes." Bryn blinked. "Oh, okay." She tried again. Still imperfect, but better. "Did I do it right?" she asked. Otis gave a single nod. "Closer." Jake saw them and hesitated. Part of him wanted to reassert control, but Otis didn't seem like he was showing off. He was just helping. Trevin, meanwhile, was stewing. He didn't like being ignored, especially not by someone like that. "Hey," he called out loudly. "Old man, you ever teach, or do you just wear that belt when people are watching?" Some students chuckled. Others cringed. Otis turned slowly to face him. "Calm. Quiet. I've taught," he said. "Long time ago." Trevin smirked. "Yeah? Where?" "At a retirement home." Devon stepped back, not wanting any part of this anymore. Bryn stood. "Why are you messing with him? He hasn't even said anything to you." Trevin ignored her. His focus stayed on Otis. Jake stepped in. "That's enough, Trevin." But Otis raised a hand. "It's fine." He took a few steps forward, slow and deliberate, then pointed to the center of the mat. "You want to test something? We do it safe. We do it right." Trevin laughed. "You serious?" Otis didn't answer. Jake looked unsure. "I don't think that's necessary." "Just movement," Otis said. "No contact." Jake sighed. "Fine. Light spar. Keep it respectful." Trevin clapped his hands. "Let's go, Grandpa." They squared off. Trevin bounced on his feet, cocky and ready. Otis stood still, arms at his side, eyes locked on Trevin like a hawk watching prey. Trevin feinted left, then jabbed. Otis didn't move. Then came a spinning sidekick, sloppy, too wide. Otis stepped to the side. One small, perfect step. Trevin's foot hit nothing but air. He stumbled. They reset. Trevin attacked harder. A flurry of fast, loose punches meant to overwhelm. Otis blocked everyone. Effortless. Tight movements. No waste. Just quiet precision. The room held its breath. Trevin backed away, panting. Otis barely winded. He gave a small bow, turned, and walked away. No victory dance. No gloating. He returned to his spot, sipped his water, and sat quietly. Trevin muttered something and stormed to the bench. Jake tried to speak to him, but Trevin waved him off. Otis sat, calm and silent. A few students kept watching, and one of them, Bryn, had a question she couldn't hold back. Class ended in quiet tension. The usual post-class chatter was gone. People left in silence or lingered awkwardly. Otis remained in the back, towel around his neck, sipping water. Bryn walked over, gym bag clutched like a shield. "Hey, Mr. Renford, right." He looked up. "That's right." She sat a few feet away. "That was wild," she said. "The way you moved. I've never seen anything like that." Otis didn't smile, but his eyes sparkled. "Takes time. A lot of years." "How many?" "Started training at 19. Taught most of my life. Stopped about 20 years ago." "Why'd you stop?" He paused, fingers tapping his knee. "Things change," he said quietly. "Life happens. Some things you let go, even if they still pull at you." She nodded, though she didn't quite understand. She was only 16. "You were in the military?" she asked. He nodded. "Stationed in Okinawa. That's where I really learned." Her eyes widened. "So, like real Kyokushin?" "As real as it gets." She hesitated. "Did Trevin make you mad?" Otis shook his head. "That wasn't about me. That was about him. He needed to prove something." He looked embarrassed. "He'll feel worse before he feels better. But if he's smart, he'll grow." Bryn tilted her head. "You gonna come back?" Otis looked at her. "Why do you ask?" "I think people could learn from you. Not just technique. The real stuff." Otis asked, "What are you trying to learn?" She blinked. Confident. Maybe. My dad left. Mom said this class might help me feel stronger. It will, he said. The body learns fast. The mind takes longer. Think I'll get good? You keep showing up, keep asking the right questions. You'll get better. Good comes after that. Bryn grinned. Jake walked over. Mr. Renford, what you did tonight was something. I think I misjudged you. Otis stood slowly. No harm done. Jake scratched his head. Ever think about teaching again? Even just helping out? Otis looked around the room. His eyes landed on Bryn, then on Trevin, still sitting alone, head in his hands. Not sure yet, he said. Jake nodded. Well, if you do, the door's open. Otis gave a polite nod, then turned to Bryn. You got a notebook? She blinked. What for? If you're serious about learning, start writing what works. What doesn't? Your body's telling you more than you think. She pulled out her phone. I can type it. Otis raised an eyebrow. Typing's fine. Writing's better. Makes you think. She smiled. Old school. Old school works, he said. He grabbed his cane and water bottle and headed for the door. Just before leaving, he turned slightly. See you next week. Bryn gave a quick thumbs up. But next week wouldn't come without a challenge. One Otis hadn't faced in a long, long time. And it wouldn't happen on a mat. By mid-morning, Otis made his way to Jefferson Park. He liked the quiet path behind the baseball field, the one where the benches faced a small man-made pond. It was peaceful there. The same squirrels always showed up, and sometimes kids passed by on bikes, but mostly no one bothered him. He was halfway through a standing stretch when a voice startled him. I didn't think you'd actually be out here. He turned to see Bryn walking toward him, a backpack slung over one shoulder. How'd you find me? He asked, amused. You told Jake you liked walking near Jefferson Park. I figured I'd take a shot, she said, grinning. Otis shook his head with a quiet chuckle. You always chase people down like this. Only the ones who do spinning blocks like it's no big deal, she replied, dropping a bag on the bench beside him. I told my mom about you. Said there was this older guy who made the whole class freeze just by standing still. Otis laughed softly, not sure if that a compliment or a warning. She said you sounded like my grandfather. He passed when I was 8. He taught me how to punch when I was little. Broke the bathroom mirror once. Grandma banned us from practicing inside after that. Otis looked out over the pond. Sounds like a good man. He was. A moment passed between them. Then Bryn asked, Did you get hurt in the war? Your leg. Otis didn't answer right away. No, he said finally. Got hurt after I was done teaching. Took a fall during a bad demonstration. The student wasn't ready, and I tried to catch myself. Hip cracked. Took years before I could walk right again. Bryn winced. Ouch. Yeah, Otis said, but the real pain came later. She stayed quiet, sensing something deeper was coming. I had a student, Otis said, voice lower, back in '89. Name was Rico. 17. Fast learner. Hungry. Reminded me of myself. Trained with me almost 2 years. What happened? His cousin got mixed up in some heavy stuff. Gang trouble. Rico tried to protect him. Got caught in the middle. One night, he didn't show up for class. Next day, I heard he'd been shot. Parking lot behind the gas station. Bryn didn't say a word. I blame myself, Otis continued. Thought maybe if I'd taught him better, faster, maybe he could have defended himself. Maybe he wouldn't have even been there if he'd stayed focused. He rubbed his hands together slowly, like he was trying to warm them from a cold that never left. I closed my dojo after that. Gave away all my equipment. I didn't want to be responsible for anyone else. Bryn swallowed. But it wasn't your fault. I know that now, Otis said. But back then, guilt makes you believe things. Makes you pack everything up and convince yourself you're too old, too tired, too done. They sat in silence. Finally, Bryn said, maybe Rico used what you taught him to protect his cousin. Maybe you gave him something no one else did. Otis looked at her. You think that helps? She shrugged. No, but maybe it should. He chuckled. You ever think about being a therapist? I was thinking detective, but now, maybe martial arts teacher. Otis didn't laugh, but there was warmth in his eyes. Don't be in a rush for the black belt, he said. It's not the belt that teaches you anything. It's the time it takes to earn it. Bryn nodded, thoughtful, but time wasn't done with Otis yet. The next Tuesday, Otis returned to class. Just before warm-ups. Same slow stride. Same calm expression. This time, no one laughed. A few students looked his way and quickly looked away. Trevan sat against the wall, lacing his shoes in silence. Devin gave Otis a quiet nod. Nothing flashy, but it meant something. Jake greeted him differently this time. Good to see you again, Mr. Renford. Just Otis, he replied. Bryn ran up to him the moment he stepped onto the mat. I brought a notebook, she said, waving it like a trophy. Otis smiled. Good start. Class began. Forms, drills, focus. The atmosphere had shifted. Still tight, but now there was curiosity in the air. Students were watching him, not with doubt, but with interest, wonder. But as they moved into advanced drills, something started to simmer. Trevan was off his rhythm. His punches were fast, but his footwork was messy. He kept stealing glances at Otis between rounds. It was bothering him more than he wanted to admit. Otis wasn't supposed to come back. The embarrassment should have been a one-time thing. But here he was, teaching Bryn foot placement like it was second nature. Then it happened. During a water break, Trevan walked straight toward Otis, towel over his shoulder. Hey, he said, you free after class? Otis raised an eyebrow, looking for more sparring. Trevan shook his head. No, I'm looking for a real test. The room went quiet. Devin looked over. Jake's brow tightened. Let's not do this again, he warned. Trevan held up his hand. I'm not talking about fighting. Not like last time. I've been thinking about that all week. Otis stood still. I want to learn what you know, Trevan said. Not just blocks. I mean how you stay calm. How you read people. All of it. The room held its breath. Bryn blinked. Devin straightened. Jake looked from one to the other. You serious? He asked. Dead serious, Trevan replied. If it's willing. Otis studied him. You want to learn, or you want to win? I want to earn it. For real this time. Otis nodded slowly. All right. He looked at Jake. Mind if I use a back mat after class? Jake nodded. Go for it. When class ended, most of the students filed out, but a few lingered, Devin, Bryn, and two others. They stood by the edge of the mat, pretending to drink water while clearly watching. Otis walked to the back. Trevan followed. No sparring, Otis said. Just pressure drills. You learn from pressure, not pain. Trevan nodded. Otis began circling him. First, stop bouncing on your heels. You're burning yourself out. Plant. Feel the floor. Trevan adjusted. You keep showing your lead hand before you move. You're telegraphing your punches. Trevan shifted again. Then Otis stepped in, talking the whole time. Breathing. You're holding your breath when you should be releasing it. Don't freeze. Flow. Trevan blocked instinctively. Better, Otis said, but your reactions still panic. I need calm. Always calm. For 20 minutes, Otis walked him through tight space drills, close quarters, rhythm, counter-rhythm. Trevan was drenched in sweat, breathing hard, but he never quit. Then Otis stepped back. Enough for today. Trevan blinked. That's it. For now. Can I come back next week? Depends, Otis said. You coming back with your mouth, or your ears? Bryn snorted from across the room. Trevan cracked a real smile. Fair enough. He extended his hand. Otis shook it. That handshake rippled through the room. Jake saw it. So did Devin. Bryn wrote something in her notebook without even looking up. Otis gathered his things and headed to the door. But not everyone waiting for him would be a student, and not all lessons would be learned on a mat. I'd spent so long thinking I'd failed him, carrying like an old wound that never quite healed. But it turns out I didn't fail him at all. I just never got to see the strength he found inside himself. Bryn let that sink in, fingers tracing the edges of her notebook. Then she asked softly, "Is that why you agreed to start teaching again?" Otis nodded. "You can't carry something forever. At some point, you either pass it on or it turns to stone." A quiet settled between them. Then she looked up, curious. "Did you ever think you'd be doing this again? Teaching, guiding others?" Otis exhaled slowly. "No, but maybe that's a lesson. Sometimes you don't know what you still have to give until someone asks for it." She smiled and flipped open her notebook. "Mind if I write that down?" Otis chuckled. "Go ahead." Across the room, Trevan approached, not with his usual cocky grin, but looking almost humbled. "Hey," he said, "I was thinking, if you ever wanted to do some one-on-one sessions on Saturday mornings, I'd be down. Just putting it out there." Otis looked up. "You ready to be pushed?" Trevan shrugged. "Yeah, I think so." Otis nodded. "All right then, let's see." As Trevan walked away, Bryn said quietly, his changing. "Maybe," Otis replied. "Sometimes the ones who fight hardest to be seen are the ones who feel most invisible." Bryn scribbled that down, too. Otis reached for his cane and stood slowly. The mat was empty now, the overhead light humming softly. He looked around and asked, "You thinking of teaching one day?" Bryn laughed. "Maybe in 20 years. "You don't have to wait that long," he said. Before she could ask what he meant, the next week would bring a moment that tested everything Otis believed about strength, trust, and what it really means to lead. Saturday morning brought a different energy to the rec center. The building was quiet, no group classes scheduled yet. The only sound was a dull thump of sneakers on the mat as Trevan moved through a basic form in the far corner. Early. That was new. Otis walked in, gym bag slung over one shoulder. No style, just old and reliable, like everything he owned. Black training pants, white t-shirt this time, and a look that said he wasn't here to waste time. Trevan looked up and nodded once. "Didn't think you'd show." Otis dropped his bag near the wall. "That makes 2 of us." Trevan cracked a smile. "Been practicing a lot." "Good," Otis said. "Today, we see how much of that stuck." They didn't jump into sparring right away. Otis started with footwork, circles, short bursts, shifting weight heel to toe without losing balance. After 20 minutes, Trevan's forehead was glistening. "You're breathing too fast," Otis said, moving around him like a slow-moving tide. "Control your breath. It's fuel. Every step you lose breath, you lose energy." Trevan nodded and kept going. But Otis didn't stop there. He ran him through drills that had nothing to do with punching, close quarters slips, shoulder pivots, silent movement. An hour passed. Trevan was drenched, shirt clinging to his back, but he kept moving, adjusting, listening. "You think you're ready for contact?" Otis asked. Trevan straightened. "Yeah, light last time." "No," Otis said. "Real. No takedowns. Controlled impact, but real." Trevan's eyes widened just a bit. Then he nodded. "Let's do it." They squared off. The first exchange was fast. Trevan was tighter, smarter, no rush, watching Otis, trying to anticipate, keeping his elbows close. Otis landed a quick strike to the side of Trevan's thigh. Not hard, just precise. Trevan flinched. "You're still thinking too much," Otis said. "By the time you decide what to do, it's already done." They circled again. This time Trevan moved forward, feinting low, then swinging wide with a hook, too wide. Otis didn't even block it. He stepped in and tapped Trevan's chest with 2 fingers. "If I was someone else," he said, "that would have been your jaw." Trevan nodded, jaw clenched. They reset. The next 5 minutes were messy. Trevan was trying to prove something. Every miss chipped away at his patience, and it showed. His punches got heavier, sloppier. Then it happened. Frustrated, Trevan threw a looping right hand. No structure, just heat. Otis leaned back, but not fast enough. The punch grazed his temple. Not hard, but enough to make him stumble slightly. Trevan froze. "Oh man, Sorry, didn't mean to. Otis raised a hand. Stop. He walked to the edge of the mat and sat on the bench, reached for his towel, said nothing. Trevan stood there, awkward, unsure. Should I go? Otis didn't look at him. No. Silence. Trevan sat down across from him, rubbing his knuckles. One was starting to swell. Does it get easier? He asked. The control part. Otis looked at him, eyes sharp now. It's never easy, but it becomes familiar. You learn not to carry your anger in your fists. I wasn't angry at you, Trevan said. I was angry at myself, Trevan added. That's the most dangerous kind, Otis replied. They sat there, no longer teacher and student, but two people realizing something about themselves. I lost control, Trevan said. Otis nodded. You did. Trevan waited, expecting a lecture or scolding, but Otis didn't give one. Instead, he asked, So, now what? Trevan looked down. I keep showing up. Otis stood slowly, stretching his leg. Good answer. He reached into his bag and pulled out a small roll of tape. For your hand, he said, tossing it to Trevan. Trevan caught it, surprised. Thanks. As Otis grabbed his cane and headed toward the door, he paused. Ever tell you how many bones I broke before I learned to keep my hands soft? Trevan shook his head. 17, Otis said. First one was a finger. Thought power came from punching harder. Turns out it comes from knowing when not to punch at all. Trevan sat with that. Otis walked out without saying goodbye. But word of that Saturday morning spread faster than he expected, and someone unexpected took notice. By Tuesday evening, the dojo floor was crowded again. More students than usual showed up. Word had gotten around. Not just that Otis had sparred with Trevan, but that Trevan had walked away different, quieter, focused, changed. A few whispered that he looked like someone who'd seen something he couldn't explain and didn't want to. Jake noticed it too. He approached Otis before class, a folded sheet in his hand. We've got 6 new sign-ups, he said. 4 said they came after hearing what happened with Trevan. Otis glanced at the paper. Is that what we're doing now? Advertising black belts who don't talk much. Jake grinned. People recognize real when they see it. Otis didn't respond, but Jake could tell he was pleased. Class started. The drills were sharper, movements tighter. Otis moved through the room like a quiet current, adjusting wrists, lifting chins, shifting feet, present without forcing anything. When the group broke into pairs, Otis called Bryn over. I want you to run this drill with Devon. Her eyebrows lifted. Me? Yeah, you've got the rhythm down. Now teach someone else. Devon raised an eyebrow, but stepped forward. Let's do it. Bryn glanced at Otis. What if I mess it up? Then you fix it. That's how you learn. That's how you lead. Bryn hesitated, then nodded. Otis stepped back and watched. She wasn't perfect, her voice shaky, cues unsure, but she adjusted. After a few tries, her instructions became clear and precise. Devon followed her lead. Minutes later, Trevan approached Otis. Can I help someone too? Otis looked at him. You want to teach? Trevan shrugged. You said pressure teaches more than pain. I figured teaching might do the same. Otis didn't say no. He pointed to a tall, quiet high school sophomore named Avery, shadowboxing the corner, clearly overwhelmed. Start with stance. Trevan walked over and began breaking it down step by step. For the first time since class began, Otis took a seat. Jake walked over, arms folded. You really think he's ready to teach? Otis didn't look away from the mat. He's not. That's why he needs to do it. Jake nodded slowly. You ever think about running your own classes again? Otis chuckled under his breath. I ran enough of them in my time. Yeah, Jake said, but none here. Otis glanced at him. You offering? Jake shrugged. We've got the space. Otis didn't answer. Not yet. Instead, he stood and called the class to attention. Bring it in. Students gathered, catching their breath. Even Bryn and Trevan stood near the front. Otis looked at each of them, one by one. I've been in rooms like this most of my life, he began. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that everyone walks in carrying something. Pride, pain, anger, fear. A few nodded. Trevan looked down at his hands. But in here, we don't train to fight each other. We train to fight what we bring in with us. The weight, the noise, that story in your head telling you you're not enough or you've got something to prove. Bryn's eyes flicked up from her notebook. If you're here just to learn how to hit harder, you're in the wrong place. But if you're here to learn how not to hit when you're angry, how to keep your feet under you when everything's pushing you down, then maybe this is a right mat. Silence settled. I'm not here to impress you, he said. I'm here because someone asked me to show up. And sometimes that's the beginning of change. He let it hang there, not dramatic, just true. Class dismissed. People didn't rush out like usual. They lingered. A few shook Otis's hand. Bryn gave him a quick hug before slipping out the side door. Trevan stayed behind, helping clean the mats without being asked. Jake leaned over. You know, I think they are hearing you now. Otis smiled, cane tapping softly on the floor. Maybe, or maybe they are just ready.